So what is the difference between internal and external anxiety? External anxiety is the normal form of anxiety. It is when you're afraid of something that is outside of your body. It might be a tiger, a dragon, a tank, something that's outside of your body. And when you see this, when you see Mr. Dragon in front of you, you will get a fight or flight response, and that's nature's way of making sure that you stay alive as long as you can. Now there's a problem when you get specific and new external forms of anxiety, and this is complex, so please follow me. Something might have happened. You might have had a panic attack in the supermarket, for instance, and I will use the supermarket as an example, but of course this can be anywhere that you've had a panic attack. Your car, meeting room, the plane, wherever. But I will have the supermarket as my example right now. So you have had a panic attack in the supermarket. Your brain is registering that. It remembers this. It remembers every time that you've had a fear of death, every time that you almost died. Because again, that's what it does to keep you alive. If you were walking around in the jungle and you saw a beautiful little flower and you said, I would really love to eat this beautiful flower, and you ate the flower, and afterwards you would really get nauseated and sick because it was a poisonous flower, your brain would remember this. It would say, stay away from this flower because this flower might kill you. And in this case it's true. If the flower is poisonous, that's going to save your life. But if you were in a supermarket and you had a panic attack, you thought you were going to die. So your brain, as smart as it is, it registers this and it says, okay, so I have to avoid the supermarket. Because if I'm in the supermarket, I might die. Because last time I was there, I almost died. So I'll remember this, and next time that I come near a supermarket, or that I even think of going to a supermarket, I'll get anxious, simply so this body will not try to walk into the supermarket. Do you see where I'm going? Again, this is a protective mechanism of your brain and your body to keep you alive as long as it can. Super. But in this way it works in a bad way, of course, because it's afraid of something that isn't going to kill you, and that's why you have an irrational fear and why you might have thought at first that you were crazy. But for your body this is very, very real. Now, at this point, the supermarket has become an external factor for your anxiety. This is still good because it's still outside of your body, and this is still workable. We can still do something with this. Now, what is the internal anxiety? When I would push you to go to the place, the external factor that makes you scared, you will get certain symptoms. You will get a pounding heart, dizziness, whatever it is that you get. If you feel those symptoms, that is something that comes from inside of your body. That is the internal anxiety. If you make this step, the bridge between the external and the internal anxiety, you create a full-blown panic attack. Because let's look at an example again. I go to the supermarket and I have to wait in the line at the checkout counter. And I see that there are a lot of people in front of me, behind me, and I see them watching me, and I start to panic a little bit. That's the external factor. I'm in the supermarket, there are a lot of people around me, that scares me. I start to feel dizzy, I start to sweat and to get, a flushed face and pounding heart, and then at that point I think, oh my gosh, I'm really going to faint here, and all these people are going to see this. And that's when I made the bridge between the external anxiety and the internal anxiety, the things that I'm feeling in my body. If I do this, I release more adrenaline, as I taught you in the video where I explained the self-fulfilling prophecy. So at that point, you get more adrenaline, and every symptom that you felt internally will become worse. It will increase, and you will be more scared, and you will start a vicious circle, and you might have a full-blown panic attack right there and then. That's bad, because if you have this, your brain, as smart as it is again, will register this again, and it will say, okay, now I'm definitely never going to go to the supermarket again because it's really scary there. And if you have this, at first you will have it somewhere, and then you will have it at another place, and another, and another, and another. And if you let this go on, after a couple of weeks, months, or years, you will only be happy in your own house. And if it's even worse, you will not even be happy in your own house anymore, because you will have it everywhere you go. So that's why you have to learn how to stop this. And at first you have to learn to stop making the bridge between the external and the internal anxiety. In the step process I will explain this into detail, but what you will have to do is that you will have to say to yourself, because again, what you think will decide how you will feel. If you decide at that point, okay, you see, I'm feeling dizzy right now, but that's normal, because I am in the supermarket, because I am in my car, in a plane, in a meeting room, wherever you're afraid, because I'm alone at home. That's what I'm afraid of. That is my external factor. My brain has registered it. I am conditioned to have this response. This is normal. If you think like that, you won't make the bridge. You will say, all right, it is nothing but normal that I have these symptoms right now. It is showing me that my body still works as it should. My body is perfect because it's trying to protect me. And as long as it does this, it has to be in perfect shape. And that's really the truth. Your heart will start to pound, and that's a good thing, because as I always say, it's the moment where your heart stops pounding that you should be worried. I'm sorry. But that's how you should go about this. That's how you should make the bridge, and that's what we will do in the step process that I will explain in an audio file. I won't explain that in video because it's very important that you can take it with you wherever you go, and I'm sure you can't take these videos away with you where you go. But that is what is so important. And just in case that you have a difficulty to believe me when I say that when you've had a panic attack in a certain location, that your brain remembers it and that it can give you symptoms, I would like to ask you something. I would like you to think that you have a lemon in your hand. You have a big yellow lemon in your hand. And you smell the lemon and you smell its acidity. And you take a knife and you cut the lemon in two and you open it up and you see the acid juices going out of it, and you put your tongue against the lemon and you suck it up and you think, whoa, this is very acidic. What happens right now? It's even happening with me right now. You get a lot of saliva in your mouth, don't you? You get saliva in your mouth, and that's because you're simply thinking about a lemon. There is no real lemon. I have nothing in my hands. You have nothing in your hands. And yet you get the response from your body, because your brain still remembers how you should respond. It knows that last time you ate a lemon, you had a lot of saliva because it was necessary. So, boom, you get a lot of saliva right now. That's how it works. I don't know if you know Pavlov. It's a Russian psychologist who did some tests with a dog. And he did a very cool test. So he said he did something to a dog so he could measure the saliva that the dog was producing in his mouth. And he put food in front of the dog. And of course the dog started to salivate. He had a lot of saliva in his mouth. Alright. Now Pavlov placed some food in front of the dog, and every time he did that he had a little bell. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Okay. Now every time he did that, and he did it about 40 times, the dog was salivating and heard a little bell, and there was food in front of him. Okay, so there are three things that happen. The dog is in a high emotional state, because for a dog food is all he thinks about, so he's in a highly emotional state, and he will link everything that happens around him. So he will link the bell to the food. Now how does Pavlov prove this? The next day he comes to the dog and he just wrinkles the bell. And what happens? The dog starts to salivate. There is no food in front of the dog, but the dog had made the link. His brain had made the link, whoa, a little bell, I should start to salivate because there is going to be food. And Pavlov can do this 40 times again, the dog will still continue to salivate because he still thinks about the food that's in front of him. Now that's great, and the exact same thing happens with you. You had a panic attack. Now a panic attack for a human being is a very high emotional state. You're very afraid, you're almost thinking that you will die, so it's a very high emotional state. And your brain links everything that is consistently happening around you at that point. And if you are in a supermarket, the supermarket is consistently happening around you, so you will make the link. If you were in your car, you will make the link. If you ate this pink flower, you will make the link. Everything that happens at that point will be linked up, and that's why you might be very afraid. And that's why you have the panic attacks, and it is nothing but normal. So I hope that you understand this, because that's the idea of the videos that you've gotten today. That is that you simply understand that it is normal what you're having. You're not afraid. Everything is very, very normal. And I know that you've visited therapists and psychologists, and maybe some people in your entourage even think that you're crazy, or they just don't understand you, and they look at you as if you come from another planet, but that is not the case. This is very, very normal. Alright? Now in the next video, I will teach you already some of the foods that cause the symptoms. After that video, I will give you my famous step process to attack your anxiety. Have fun in the meantime, and revisit my videos that you've gotten so you can repeat what I've taught you already. Bye bye for now.